Okay, let's look at the next one up here then, of the United States of America. You see I already have the text, I already have it trimmed down. Let's just look at the effect we can do. The next effect on our list is the style effect. What the style effect is that's all those things that you're familiar with down under FX. So you have things, drop shadows, bevels and bosses, color overlays, all of that. You work it the exact same way that you'd work any of them, where you move to the point where you're done, where you want it to look like at the end, and you're going to turn on the style keyframe. Now let's go ahead and go put some style on this. Let's say at the end here, I want it to get a red stroke. We'll do a red stroke like that. And yeah, let's do a gradient overlay actually. How about we do this instead? We'll take the gradient overlay and we'll make a little red, white, and blue one. So we haven't covered much about gradient overlays yet, but red, we'll put a dot here for white, and we'll put a dot here. Notice how I'm sampling the colors directly off the picture. I just find that gives me a little bit better consistency if I pull straight off the picture than trying to match it, and of course I'm colorblind, which is why. So I'll go ahead and say okay there, and just for giggles I'll put a drop shadow on as well, and we'll kind of mess with that. Most of you have had some time to play with these, so you kind of get some of how they work, but this is another good chance to play around. And actually that looked really slick like that. Maybe an outer stroke, just for grins. We'll put a little black stroke to help that pop out. Okay, so those are the styles that I've messed with, essentially, the stroke, the gradient overlay, and the drop shadow. So it's going to look like this at the end. Now let's go to the beginning, and let's mess with just one of those. So at the beginning, I'm going to put that other keyframe, and let's go into the effects, and let's say at the beginning it's going to have a stroke that is, now I can't turn it off because that would deactivate everything, but I can say take it way down and make it small, or even better, I can keep it that same, I'll make it small, but I'll make it white, which essentially makes it disappear because that's a white stroke on that white background. So now you can see the rest of the elements will stay the same. It's still got that red, white, blue gradient, but you can see that the stroke will kind of grow as we get to that arrow. So my black stroke and my white stroke turns black and gets bigger. So then let's say about midway through there, I actually want to do something else, and I want to go mess with my drop shadow. So at that point there, let's say I wanted the drop shadow, I don't know, about halfway there, and I want there to be no drop shadow. So now I've got this idea that the stroke starts growing right away, and then the drop shadow starts growing at about this bubble, and there we go. Okay? Again, this starts to get a little bit experimentation. Don't do too much. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. But just because I can, let's try something here. I'm going to put a white to white gradient on it. White to white, because a white to white gradient should be invisible. Oops, and I'm just going to take my stroke off. And my drop shadow. I'm going to take them all off, because now I have an invisible thing that's going to grow a gradient, so it almost does a fade, but it does the fade a little bit different, and actually it did bring my drop shadow and stroke back in. So you can see lots of different effects that I can get by messing with the layer styles.